Mother and grandfather came over from Italy in the 1919, and my grandfather opened his bakery across the street, down the basement of a duplex house, and they lived above the store. And he had been a baker in Italy, and he decided to do it over here also. And he started it, did little by little, got all the neighborhood, because it was an Italian neighborhood at the time, and everybody was looking for Italian treats and stuff to use. And when he first came over, they didn't want to use the Liberato because of the ethnic background and stuff like that. So we decided to cut it short and make it easy, so we called it Libby's.
My grandfather came here from Italy, and he worked making rocks, and he also worked in a bread bakery. And one day he just flattened out a piece of bread dough. He put some leftovers on it, and he brought pizza to Connecticut, basically. So then he just started flattening out bread dough, putting tomato sauce on it, and he sold it. And he had a headdress where he would sell the pieces on his head. He wrapped them up. He went around to all the little Italian markets that were in the neighborhood. He sold pizza. Then he bought a cart. He had a push cart. He sold the pizza, and he saved up money. And he brought out the bread bakery where he was worked at, which is the spot location right next door. And he sold pizzerias. And we believe he was the first person to bring pizza to Connecticut, and he was the first person to establish a pizzeria as a restaurant in Connecticut. And the rest is history.
My dad was born in Italy, came here right after the First World War. I think he was like maybe 20 or 21 at the time, and he had no one here. But he's seeking a new life. He met my mother here. She was born here, but all of her family, her mother and father, were both born in Italy. And they got together and they got married. But this whole neighborhood has changed. I was born in this building.
Well, we've been here for 4 years now, this month. Large cap. And I think that we kind of exist on our own, but if it weren't for the neighborhood, we wouldn't be able to exist. The farmer's market has, that has a lot to do with us, or we have a lot to do with it. But the restaurants on Wooster don't really, we kind of exist separately from them.
I lived on the other side of New Haven on Park Street, and I had gone to school in Brooklyn, New York, and had lived in New York for quite a while. And I didn't know anything about Wooster Square when I moved here. And then one night with my roommate, we crossed town and went to Pepe's Pizza. And in doing so, we came down Court Street, excuse me, and I saw the brownstones and Wooster Square. Well, it reminded me of Brooklyn. And I fell in love with it.
So why did you choose to move to Wooster Square?
I've always liked it. Let's see. My father had a business down in on what was used to be Wallace Street before urban renewal. It was called the Elm City Rubber Company. In 1986, we bought this place and worked on it for a couple of years to revamp it and bring it back to something near its original style.
When was this house originally built?
1871. This whole line of brownstones were built in about 1871.
Yep, I've lived here my whole life. Second Brownstone from the corner of De Palma and Chapel, and it's a great neighborhood.
Are you Italian?
Actually, no, I'm Jewish and Russian and Spanish, but I feel like an honorary Italian because of all the Italian food I've eaten over my life. Still definitely a distinctly Italian neighborhood. We got all the Italian restaurants. We got Pepe's, we got Abade's, Consiglio's, Sally's. I'd say so. Definitely into the culture. We have the festas over there at the church for all the saints' days and everything. We always have they're always massive, masses, I guess. It's definitely still an Italian neighborhood. A lot of the Italian American houses, people do still eat, traditional, Italian foods. Just as in my house, we still eat a lot of Eastern European things, a lot of Spanish things. Because cultural heritage in a neighborhood like this, cultural heritage is definitely important. All of us are American, but we don't really, you don't really ever forget where you come from.
Do you get the sense from the neighborhood that it's still sort of the ethnic Italian element is still here? Do you think that?
Definitely. There have been days when it was warmer in summer where I'd run into old Italian couples who would be staying in the park, and one couple, they were sitting with their dog on one of the park benches, and they saw Daisy and asked me to come over, and they said, "Yeah, I can't believe that no one's here." Apparently when they were growing up, you had to wait your turn to play in the park because there were just all the neighborhood kids would come here.